Hello, it's Nikki. How are you doing? I hope you're having a really good day. What day is it? We don't know, but I do know that it is part 4, and today is the final part of this My Goals, Musings series, however I like to frame it. And if you haven't listened to the other 3 parts, go ahead and do that, because that will make sense and it will give some context, because actually a lot of the goals that I'm sharing today are work goals. So just so you know I'm not a bit dead inside, please go back and listen to the others, because there's some really lovely ones in there. But as I say, there is no secret formula to this. This is not a tried and tested framework where you're like, oh, Nikki seems to have about 21 goals. Maybe I should do the same. Nope, this is literally me sharing what's inside my head and hoping that it will provide some kind of inspiration or thought process, or just unlock something for you. A thought, an idea, I'm going to give that a go. So the first thing that I want to share today is a fun one. I really want to have more time in the pub this year. I know. Or actually, let's go for some nice restaurants as well. I'm really craving some long, leisurely lunches with my partner. We've been together nearly 15 years, I believe. And in the beginning of our relationship, that is how it all started. We would sit in the pub for hours, just chatting and talking and getting drunk, really. And it's not necessarily a drunk thing, but just having that sense, that space where you're away from your environment. And I'm really craving that, where as much as we like to go out for meals with the children and have big family dues, because I've got a big family on both sides of it, you know, it's really nice to do things as a group, but I really want to make sure that we're nurturing that time together. And it's so lovely that even if we have an hour together, a couple of glasses of wine, there is that sense you just reconnect again, and you can just, be you with no distractions, or not trying to put a wash on or make somebody's dinner or wipe somebody's face, none of that stuff. So spending more time in the pub is going to be one of my New Year's resolutions. The next thing is something that I started doing last year and a bit before, but I have now built this into a habit, and I've now realized the power of it and how much I connect with it and the acceleration that it provides. And that is tracking. So a couple of years ago, actually more than that, like 5 years ago, I made a decision to really take care of my money mindset. And that involved a lot of healing, that involved a lot of education, a lot of conscious thinking, like what am I doing? How am I spending my time? What am I charging? Where am I giving things away? I really had to almost unpack my bag of money beliefs and really look at what was happening. Because, what was I, 35 at that time? I wasn't in the place that I thought I would be at 35. Like, I was all right, but I knew that there was something more. And again, I know these moments of like, I'm just going to wait for my prince to come. That is going back to what I said the other day. I am a driver in my life, not a passenger. And perhaps I'd been a bit of a passenger and kind of left things and opened myself up. And actually, it was time to get into the driver's seat. It was trying to be really conscious. And as soon as I did that, like I'm doing the clicks, but it started to happen so quickly. It was almost like I was moving something, and these pieces of it started to click into place. And one of the things that I started to do was I really started to track my money. And that was looking at my bank account every single day. And now I actually look at my bank account probably 3 or 4 times a day. I know, absolutely. And I know that that's not for everybody, but for me, and this is linked to one of my goals, which I'll talk to you a little bit more about, which is make money every day. I am really interested in what that process looks like, because I had to perhaps go to the extreme with it where I made it such a habit. Like I would never ever leave the house without brushing my teeth. Never ever. And I would never go to bed without brushing my teeth. It's just not a thing that I wouldn't do. Like I'd never leave the house without putting on underwear. It's one of those moments. Or I never leave the house without kissing my children, even though they might be like, I'm busy, mum, like just leave me to it. I had to make it that much of a habit. And I think what can happen is that everything becomes quite negotiable. And I had to get very serious about this. Like, if I want this to grow, if I need to get better with money, if I want to grow my capacity for money, I have to track it. And so now, knowing that I've done that work for the last 4 or 5 years and really seeing my biggest business business year rather, last year, which again, is not something I necessarily want to talk about in too much detail, but why I'm sharing it, I guess, is because this stuff works, really understanding what's going on. And if I sat down with somebody right now, I would be able to say what all of my expenses were to the penny every single month and what day they leave my bank account. And I'm really proud of that. There's very rarely any kind of surprises or like, oh, I forgot about that. Or, oh, that was a bit of a stinger. I don't know why that happened. Actually, it's the other way where I've become very meticulous at looking. Now, as part of that, because I know that tracking works, I want to be able to have a bit more predictability in terms of my business. Because although I have consistent, strong months, I now want to know that I just want it to be a bit more familiar. And because I love knowing when my expenses are going out, I want to know what's coming in and when. So I'm really excited about looking at that. I've also noticed this tracking in terms of my health and fitness. So for the last year, so since December 2020, I've been wearing my Fitbit every day. And I've really noticed what is going on in my body. And I don't know how accurate these things are, but I presume they're pretty accurate. Noticing what is actually going on versus what I think is going on. So sometimes I'll be like, wow, I've done so much stuff today. I'm so tired. And then I might look at my Fitbit. I'm like, but I've only done 3,000 steps. So I actually haven't moved that much. Or sometimes I'll be in a state of feeling anxious or overwhelmed or not like myself. And then I'll look at my Fitbit. I'm like, well, there's no wonder because you haven't really slept that well this week. So really noticing what has been going on has almost given me that reassurance of, okay, that's why. Oh, that makes sense then. So now where I want to go with this is, again, spilling into my podcast stats. So one of my goals for this year is I really, really want to grow my podcast. So if you are here, if you've been here for a long time, or if you're brand new, thank you. Thank you for being part of this. And do feel free to share it and let me know what you want more of, because this is here to stay. It's my nearly 4-year anniversary of creating this podcast, and I absolutely love it. I love being able to connect with people all over the world. It's such a joy for me. And again, side note on this, yes, of course, it brings in revenue, it brings in opportunities, it brings in clients and collaborations. And that is a really good notification to you, I guess, to make sure that you are doing marketing activities that feel really good, because this first and foremost feels really good to be able to support people and add value and grow a global audience. So one thing that I've noticed is I wanted to take my stat kind of counting to a deeper level. So I'm looking at my stats right now, and I can see how many times my podcast has been downloaded since I begun. And I can see every single month from January 2018 to January 2022 what that's looked like. And I'm seeing a graph, like it's really interesting looking at when it was really popular and when it wasn't. And last month I shared that I'd had the highest number of stats, so December 2021, since May 2021. And yeah, I don't know. For some reason, December just went a little bit bananas. But I would say, I don't know why. But I was really consistent with it. But I was really tuning in to the content that I wanted to create. It wasn't random. It was batched. It was thought through. It was with discernment. It was really putting my audience at the heart of it. And it's been really interesting doing this process. So I can, if I log into my podcast, I can see how many downloads I've had in the last 7 days, and you can see the daily count as well. Last 30 days, last 90 days, and of all time. Now, what I'm looking to do as I grow it even more is I'm looking to see where I'm charting. Now, this is not an ego thing, but this is just me being familiar. It's getting to know more of how I can be of service. And I have joined this collective, which is to do with podcasting. And every single day, I can get stats on where I'm charting and in what countries and what number I am. And this has been really interesting. And it's been a small, tiny tweak that I've done. So I used to get a notification of where I was every single month. And that, of course, would just chart where I was on that day. And sometimes I wouldn't even chart it at all. So say I was getting my notification on the 25th of December or 25th of the month. I might not have been charting at all because I didn't do a Christmas message. And so what I did was I changed my preferences. So I now get a daily update. And that has been so interesting. So last night, for example, I got a notification to say I was back in the UK charts. Amazing. And I don't know if I've been in there for a while or how long or anything like that. But I now know, as of yesterday, the 5th of January, that I'm back in and I am charting again. I also know that I chart in various other countries around the world: Thailand, Estonia, Germany. Where else have I been charting? All kinds of places. So if you're listening in those countries, hello, and thank you. So that's something that I'm going to be doing. So maybe think about what you want to track and how you can go deeper and how you can make it work for you. The next thing I want to do is, again, track my time. So I was having a conversation with my sister-in-law this week, and she was saying that she works 28 hours a week. And that number stuck with me because I always find throughout our conversations, and again, this is just my perception, she hasn't said this implicitly, but I always have that sense she has a really good work-life balance and she can really keep work compartmentalized. So she knows that she's doing those 28 hours and then she has 3 days off with her girls and her husband, my nieces and my uncle. He's not my uncle, my brother-in-law. So yeah, I was looking and thinking about what 28 hours would look like in my business and where I would find those and how I could maximize those. So again, it's just an idea that's floating around in my head. I will keep you posted and let you know what's happening with that. Another thing I want to do and continue to do because it really worked in 2020 is make money every day. As I go through the next quarter and into this year, I really have a goal that I want to have much more of an evergreen business. And I know that launching and then closing and launching and closing really works for some people. But there's something about, for me, and I don't know what it is, but maybe it's a little kick or excitement or like, oh, great, you can get what you need when you need it. Is I love making money every single day because I track my money. So I like to be able to fill in that spreadsheet. But I never came into working for myself just so I could be excited about a payday. And I love that I can really take care of my income and I can grow and I can make money when I need it and I can be in that abundant state because my needs, my wants, desires, they never ever stop. So I'm thinking about how I do that more. And sometimes it could be making £4.66, which is what I make if I sell a £5 digital product. Well, then there's tax and all the rest of it. But like that's really thrilling to me. Like, I love seeing that money coming in. I love knowing that somebody goes, gosh, I really want to work on my idea, and I can access that and I can get what I need and I can start my journey. That just fills me with so much joy. Another thing I want to talk about is I want more color in my life. I want to eat different foods. I just want to turn up the brightness of stuff. I feel like, especially after the winter time, everything can feel a bit grey and beige and brown, and I just want to turn everything up. I want some vibrancy. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm looking at how I'm going to bring some colour into my clothes, into the food that I'm eating, in terms of the skies that I'm experiencing. And so, colour is going to be something I'm really going to notice. Another thing I want to do is to grow my audience, to serve more people. I think a couple of years ago, everything became a bit intense on something like Instagram, and it was just the same people buying and promoting each other. It was the time of, and maybe it's a bit more than 2 years ago, but it was at the time of the kind of Insta mum, and everything just felt a bit saturated, and it was the same people that you saw collaborating on each other's platforms. And what I realized last year is many of my clients are now international, and they are working in very different ways, in different industries. And I've been working with more men as well, which is a really, really lovely thing. And I've been working in different organizations and in different kinds of ways. And this has been this has resonated, I guess, that I don't want to just do one thing. I don't want to fall into a formula or what everybody else is doing. So I want to grow my audience, serve more people, serve them in a way that is useful, and meet them where they're at. Couple more. I want to be consistent and trust the process. I am impatient. There you go. I'm admitting it. I am an impatient person sometimes. I'm impatient, but with grace and with compassion. So I'm not that person tutting at somebody with a buggy going down the stairs, because believe me, I am sometimes that person going down the stairs with a buggy. But I'm impatient with myself, with my process of like, come on, why isn't it not happening? Come on. Let's go. Be consistent. Do something every single day. Take the next step and trust the process. And certainly as a family, when we've been making moves, my partner and I have said this or something better. And that's really helped to be in a sense of embodiment, which again is that word that I chose for the year. I need to be in that space, and I need to be trusting the process. I often give the equivalent of like going on a date or trying to find a friend. You would never go on a first date or like start up a conversation with a new friend hoping that they would be the person who would bring all your dreams and hopes and desires to life. Like, hi, are you the one? Are you going to marry me? Is this going to be perfect now? Come on, is this the next thing? You would never want to go into that with that energy. And so therefore, I don't want to go into my next chapter, my next quarter, my next week, my next day with like, oh my gosh, is this going to be the best day ever? It feels too pushy. It feels too desperate and needy. So I'm learning to step back, to breathe, to expand, and just be in that grounded space of, okay, one step at a time. Take your time, be methodical, be intuitive, listen, and off we go. 2 final things. I want to live really abundantly. I want to buy the things that I want to buy. I want to experience what I want to experience. And I don't want to make do. And this is, again, a pattern that I have definitely fallen into over the years, where I've given way more than I've needed to, or I remember going out with somebody years ago, actually, and I don't know if I should tell this story. Yes, I'm going to tell it. But basically, I would always be in a moment of just, sorry, this is weird. You're like, get on with the story, Nikki. There've been times where I've had relationships, basically, and these people might have been considered, or what I considered to be, out of my league. And there's a couple that definitely come to mind of like, oh, wow, they're good looking, or some like other women wanted to be with these men. And bizarrely, what I would do in those situations is I just not think I was worthy of that. And I would get treated really badly, or I would allow myself to be treated really badly, or I would over deliver, or I would end up paying for things all the time, or cooking all the time, and basically just being a bit of a doormat. And I have really realized, again, going back to that solution orientated situation, that I'm really good at finding a solution, or making do, or picking up the crumbs. And this is not to say that I only ever want to wear designer clothes from now on, but I just want to live in a way that feels really good, where I'm not making do. And I want to upgrade things. And that also means not going, right, I'm just going to upgrade everything and then not have any food to eat. Sometimes this means writing it down and then saving up for it. Great, I'll do that. Brilliant. But I did notice it this year, or last year, when I packed, and I don't pack Max stuff, but I did pack the kids' stuff. And, you know, the kids always have really, and it'd been Christmas as well, so they'd had some lovely bits, but they've always had really lovely clothes, and everything is always clean and washed and ironed and folded nicely. That's just kind of good for my organization, for my brain. And I packed their stuff, and everything was kind of lovingly put in the case and sorted. And I thought about the different things that they need, the different layers, or what if it was cold, or I'll pack some extra shoes. And then I went in my wardrobe and I just didn't feel inspired. It felt old. It felt passé. It didn't feel like who I was. And it was such a recognition to me of going, wow, you've got to put a bit more love into yourself. You've got to really take yourself seriously and nurture yourself, because you naturally, absolutely can nurture these children. But what about you? And a client and a friend of mine actually put on Instagram that she was going to not buy anything this year and was going to see if she could just make do with her wardrobe. And I messaged her back and I said, actually, I want to do the opposite, because I noticed over the last few years, because I've been pregnant and because I haven't really known what size I was going to be afterwards, and all these, I guess, excuses. And I don't really like clothes shopping either. I haven't really bought anything for myself. And so, yeah, that was something that I have to really pay attention to. Like, yeah, okay, you can naturally do this for the children, but can you do it for yourself? So that's it, I think. Let me just check my list. Yes, I think we're good. Those are some things that are in my mind. But what I have done is I've written them down on a massive piece of paper. If you ever go to IKEA, by the way, and don't go hungry, go fully full, ready to go. Oh gosh, and do you know what I used to think before I had a baby? Oh wow, I'd never be one of those people in IKEA, really heavily pregnant, like trying to look at furniture and things like that. But do you know what? Both times I was that woman, heavily pregnant in IKEA, sitting on something, staring into space, hot and bothered. I had to learn the lesson twice. Anyway, if you ever go to IKEA, they do these massive rolls of paper, plain paper. It's in the children's section, and it comes in like a roll of wallpaper, that kind of situation. And I have really enjoyed grabbing a massive piece of paper and creating a mind map around all my thoughts, ideas, things that come to mind in these different areas. So feel free to do that. Also, come back tomorrow because I'm going to be sharing in more detail what you do with these and how you get things in motion. Also, if you are looking for more help with goal setting, please go to the goal setting section of my website. I am bringing people into my world and me into your world, I hope, in January and February. So do get in touch. Let me know what you want help with, and I'll see you tomorrow. Lots of love. Bye.